contractors. Redstone International, he'll begin to mobilize. So we'll actually begin some construction besides earthwork next couple of weeks. The general contractor did give notice that that they are changing the masonry subcontractor. They could not come to terms with the subcontractor, masonry subcontractor they listed. So they notified us. Those are listed on their bid form, and they both also notified the state general contractors license board that they're doing that too. So they're changing masonry contractors, and that's coming up. That's also they submitted some brick to be chosen for the brick. We're trying to match area buildings around there, and I think that's going to be chosen pretty quickly. First application for payment was submitted and approved. It was $1,126,222 and 15 cents, and retainage is there. We talked about unsuitable soils, and you saw, if you've been by the site, saw all that big mound of dirt over there, and they've hit their allowance, and we've got the architect reviewing those quantities. That's monitored by a third-party testing company, so that's all being reconciled right now to see where we are on that. And progress is tracking pretty much on schedule. The GC has submitted in his first application for payment, and as part of his submittals, the 60-day schedule. You got to understand that if it's a big project like this, it takes a lot of time to schedule through every bit of the schedule. But he's got his first 60 days there. He's tracking on schedule. He'll have his complete schedule. It's due with his second pay application, which will be, we'll start seeing that first of next week. He'll probably get that submitted. So that's where we are right now.
There's no change in that changing the concrete company that you just mentioned?
There's no monetary change.
No monetary
Yeah.
change?
It was a masonry company.
Yeah.
The guy's going to lay all the block and the brick and all the brick that's hand laid. You have a lot of precast that's inlaid in the precast, and part of the selection of the precast is making sure that all just matches up and fits. Any other questions?
Tim, what are they doing with that topsoil that you can't use for packing? What were you doing with that?
Well, we tried to waste. It's not really the organics that they're having to haul them out. There will be some saved for respreading later on, but not near what you saw out there piled out. They're having to haul those out. I don't know where they're going. Some of it was the geotech engineers allowed us to waste it in non-structural areas for building berms for retention ponds and stuff like that, so we don't have to. That's just part of what you do.
Where are they storing it at?
Well, on site, it's stored in that site next to the EMS, and
What about what they've hauled off?
I don't know where it's going. So, Blaine's got it subcontracted to East Tennessee Turf and Landscape, and they're hauling it somewhere.
Is there any value to that?
Hmm?
Is there any value to that dirt?
Probably it wouldn't be worth trying to sell anywhere. If they can, it's theirs to do with. So they anticipated so much dirt, so bad soils. They hit some more where the residences were, so you got a little bit more there. But it's not really, the topsoil is just wet and chert filled, and it's not suitable for compaction. You always want dirt, or you always need dirt. In this situation, we don't want that dirt, but we need some other good dirt. So.
Any other questions?
Okay, again, thank you. If you have any comments or something, just send them to me, and I'll try to get that into our report. And thanks for taking me early. And I've wore the wrong color. I'm going to a basketball game later tonight, but I'm rooting for the other guys, so I'm rooting for UT. So.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Appreciate it very much. This time, the chair will recognize Chairman Goin of the Public Service Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. I call the Public Service Committee to order. Anybody wishing to address the committee? Seeing none. No old business, new business. Resolution Hamlin County, 2070 time capsule. Jim Favor? Now, I want you to know, I'm gonna be out there in 2070 to watch this open.
70. I want to submit a resolution, the 2070 time capsule resolution. You've got that in your folder. I can read that, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
if you would like.
Sure.
Whereas on September 18th, 2021, Hamlin County held a ceremony to commemorate the opening and display of contents placed in the time capsule buried on the south lawn of the courthouse on August 27, 1970. Whereas this ceremony was originally planned for August of 2020 but was delayed as a result of the COVID virus pandemic. Whereas the majority of the contents placed in the capsule were wet and spoiled and had to be destroyed, what was salvaged was cleaned as much as possible and will be placed on display in the Hamlin County Archives. Whereas this Hamlin County Commission commends and thanks the Executive Committee, Chairman, Chairperson, and all citizens who worked tirelessly to bring the ceremony to a successful, albeit delayed conclusion. Whereas Hamlin County government intends to place another time capsule above ground on the south lawn to be opened July 1, 2070. Whereas certain persons will be designated and authorized to open this time capsule and remove the contents in 2070. Whereas this Hamlin County Commission directs that this resolution be placed in the minutes of the Hamlin County Commission and the Office of the Register of Deeds, and insofar as possible, a list of contributors and recipients of the 2070 time capsule this 15th day of February 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we do that.
Got a motion?
On a second.
Second? All in favor, make a motion by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jim. Surplus item from the Register of Deeds, Jim?
I have, you've got a list of the cabinets, plaque cabinets that I have, will recycle or sell. We have bought new plaque cabinets for the office. The agreement with the Easy File company is that we recycle 6 of those. They gave us a $1,000 recycling credit to do that. So 6 of these need to be recycled, and the others I would like to put out on eBay or some way sell these additional plaque cabinets. They run about $25,000 to $3,000 a piece. So I'm asking for authorization to do that today.
Do I have a motion to do that?
Motion.
Motion, second?
Second.
All in favor,
Who
say
made
motion
the
by saying
second?
aye.
Mr. Reed.
Mike. Sorry.
That's right. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, sir.
Chairman Shipley,
Well,
Mr. Reed's not on that committee.
yeah, he's
Oh,
not on the,
okay.
Okay.
I'll second.
Yes, sir. Okay. 4C, resolution to amend the zoning map, Hamlet County, Tennessee rezoning district, 02 tax map, 024, parcel 061-01-2801, Boatman's Mountain Road from R1 to A1. Lori, last time you waited to the very, very end, catch first this time.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. Good evening to the commission, first of all. This request comes from Gary and Rachel Mitchell. They're seeking to rezone their property at 2801 Boatman's Mountain Road from its current zoning designation of R1, which is single-family residential, to A1, which is agricultural, in order to operate a small antique store. The half-acre site sits at the intersection of Noah's Chapel Road with Boatman's Mountain Road and appears to have been improved in the early 1980s with a 1,200 square foot structure. The building has remained empty for several years. Bowen Mountains Road is comprised largely of single-family residential and yet to be developed large lots. The subject site, surrounded by R1 to the north and south, faces A1 across the road. A1 designated properties are allowed a myriad of neighborhood-type uses to include veterinary offices, convenience stores, and car washes. All of these having a greater impact to surrounding neighborhoods than would an antique store. Also, by rezoning the property for this use, the county would be removing a blighted property from its books. Therefore, staff would ask the county commission to grant approval to this rezoning request. The Hamlin County Planning Commission voted at their February something meeting to forward the request to the county commission for approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, make a motion by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4D, a resolution before the County Commissioners of Hamlin County, Tennessee, to file an application for the 2022 home grant. Shannon Adele? Mayor.
She's not here, but I'll speak to it.
Okay.
We have a history of applying for and receiving home grants, and which are a THDA, a Tennessee Housing Development Agency program, and basically what this is it's a program that helps citizens with homes and homeowners who have dilapidated homes or need certain repairs up to a certain amount to get those repairs paid for, and so that they improves the property, and there's also a lien put on the property for so many years, and then I think it's 5 years, and after that, then the lien is lifted and the property is lien free. So what this resolution does is just ask that we are allowed to, or authorized to apply for a 2022 home grant of $750,000.
If a grant's approved, who decides who gets the money to fix their house?
There's a process. TCAC will be the administrator of the grant, and there's a process, an application process. It's a public process, and they ultimately make the decision.
How much is the grant gonna be for?
The total grant, $750,000.
Any other questions?
Non-matching?
Correct. Yes.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, make a motion by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Item 4E, resolution to support the city of Morristown, Tennessee, applying for the Rebuilding America Infrastructure with State Sustainability and Equity. Careful, that sounds kind of democratic, everybody.
What, Mr. Chairman, what this is a resolution to support the city in an effort to apply for a federal grant. These are federal dollars to implement a study that was completed of the Cumberland Street corridor. There was a study done last fall of how to improve the corridor, and the outcome of the study was to narrow Cumberland from a 4-lane to a 3-lane, with one lane going north, one south, and then a center turn lane, sidewalks on both sides, landscaping on both sides, signage. And what this grant would do is pay for that project as well as for a signalization of that whole corridor, South Cumberland corridor. The grant that the city is applying for is $25 million. $23 million of it would go toward redoing Cumberland Street, and $2 million would go to the signalization project. And this is, the city qualifies because of the demographics in the affected areas, qualifies for a match-free grant. So if they're awarded the grant, there would be no local match. And this is just a resolution supporting the city's efforts.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Hang on a second. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
You second it? I gotta get a motion first.
Motion.
Motion?
Oh, I apologize, let me say that.
Okay. Get a motion and a second. Any questions?
How far are they planning on going down South Cumberland? Where it's 4-lane at, like going to
Down
Marshall?
South Cumberland goes to 160, goes to the overpass.
All the way through.
Goes to where?
160.
Where's it, I mean, is it come, I know where 160 is, but will it go down to Morris Boulevard, coming up South
Goes to
Cumberland?
Morris Boulevard, correct.
Single lane traffic.
Yes, one lane both ways with the center turn lane, yes.
There's not much more you can do over there, I don't believe. All in favor of the motion? To make the motion by saying aye?
Aye.
Second? All right. All opposed?
Ah,
Motion passes. 4F, memorandum of agreement between Hamlin County Government and the Morristown Emergency and Rescue Squad. Mayor Bitt.
This is an agreement between the county and the rescue squad, and what we've been working on since early January is an emergency evacuation plan of the jail in case something happens on the construction site that requires that we evacuate. We've had law enforcement, 911, the contractor, Tony Pettit's on that group, the fire department, all the public safety agencies involved in this discussion. And what this agreement does is it authorizes us to, if we have to evacuate, that some of the inmates, not the higher offenders, those would be taken to adjacent jails in our jails in adjacent counties. These are the low-end offenders would go to the upstairs meeting room and be held there at the rescue squad until the buses come from the school system to haul them to the end destination. So this is that agreement that we can use that space upstairs at the rescue squad.
All in favor of the motion? I'm sorry. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor of the motion, make by say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Goen. Chairman, the Board of the Audit Committee, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the Audit Committee to order. Do we have any visitors that would like to address the committee? Seeing none, we have no old business and new business. We have a presentation of this year's audit. Ms. Hurst.
Just some basic information about this year's audit. It was released back in January. And here are just some highlights, some numerical highlights of this year's audit. We ended up, doing, I'm going to say well. Here's the total fund balance in the general fund. And as you can see, it's been growing here the last few years. And we've had actually ended up at a substantially higher level than we've been at in past years. Part of this is, again, a lot of the, I'm going to say, federal monies and so forth that we've gotten. But in any case there. Now, you can see here, the first one was just total fund balance. This shows total fund balances as well as unassigned fund balance. Unassigned fund balance is also an important metric to look at, and we see that growing also. So that means that those are funds that we have to spend on anything that we would like to spend on. Again, one of our main other operating funds here is, again, the general fund. unassigned fund balances, presented expenditures, and you can see that that has been growing. That's a good number to grow, and we are at 42.7%, which again is, we would like to be anywhere over 25. If we're getting between the 30 and 40 mark, that means that we have some funds to work with. And that's, again, a positive thing. Here is our solid waste. It's trended somewhat down, but now it's increasing again. Part of the reason there is that the benefit of sales tax for the county, that the county gets to keep, not of course the part that goes to the schools, but the solid waste fund gets the benefit of those sales tax dollars, and those have increased. So that's been, again, a positive impact on the solid waste. And then here, we see what's happening with the Highway and Public Works Fund. We've gotten money from the Improve Act. That's part of responsible for seeing that continue to grow. It's gone down just a little bit as the Highway Department begins to use these funds. Again, through the years, highway, it's kind of boom or bust. They'll maybe be doing some, some projects that may require a lot of extra funds. And then you'll see that pull back down. Now, just the bottom line of this audit, there were no audit findings, and it was an unmodified opinion, which is as good as you can get with an audit opinion. So everyone in the county, I mean, this is not just the mayor's office, but it's every departmental county is involved in making sure that they've met their financial responsibilities. So, and then this is just for your information. It provides a schedule of findings and question costs. There were none. We had no issues with any of our audit on grants, which has to do a lot of times with the federal grant reporting. And this just lets you see that if we had, no material weaknesses were identified, no significant deficiencies were identified, and on either the financial statements or the federal reports. And again, there were no findings to report, and no findings related to, again, federal awards or no question costs. And I know that this is hard to read, but you have this in your materials. And the audit of Hamlin County did not report any findings and the recommendations. Therefore, there was no management response required. And again, we conformed with everything we need to conform. This outlines what's considered to be your all's core responsibility as the audit committee. And this shows how you fulfill those obligations. Again, there were no findings. Again, there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies identified. And then also you are to provide a process by which employees, taxpayers, or other citizens may confidentially report any kind of suspected fraud or abuse. We've added a link to our county website, both on the front page and on the financial page, a quick link for fraud reporting. So that now is hopefully available to any citizen if they wish to do some kind of report. And then You are to also present a finding, a report of what you've done, any recommendations. And again, Trish prepares the minutes for this meeting, and those will be included in your packet for the regular commission meeting. So you will admit all of your responsibilities at this point, your core responsibilities as the committee. Also, we have with us tonight Mark Treese, who's our audit manager, working with the comptroller's office. If you have any questions that you would like to, that you have for Mr. Treese, he's here to answer those questions.
I do want to make a comment, not really anything other than a comment. I received a phone call last summer after the audit was over from the state, just checking to see if I felt like all the procedures had been gone through. Did I notice anything that was abnormal or anything that maybe should be looked at? And instead of directly answering that question, I fired questions back to her, and I could find nothing that she was concerned about at all. So I just want to commend everyone for taking the effort and making sure that these things were handled in a proper way. And for the 8 years that I have been here, I think maybe only 1 year we didn't get a perfect audit. Does that sound correct? I don't remember that exactly.
That could be. I mean, I know that I don't know all the past history here,
Okay.
but we've, had some in the past. There have been some findings, but again, this year again, everybody working together. I want to really stress that all departments, again, from a financial standpoint, everyone stepped up, worked hard, and I'll just say this, as having been an auditor myself for many years too, it feels good when you go through an audit, and, sometimes it's one of those things that you don't often get, but you get, I'm going to say, an audit with no findings at all, and everything looks good. So now we'll see if we can get through another year with it. But we'll see. That's always its own challenge.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept the audit and commend all of our departments for the excellent job that they have done.
Thank you for that motion.
Yes.
That's a motion. We have a second. Any additional comments or questions? Mr. Treese, anything that you would ask that we look at more intensely?
No, nothing I can think of. Comptroller's office has been doing audit for, I think, since 2004. The only other year Hamlin County had a no findings report was 2014.
It's really good because they always try to find something, they dig hard.
There's three, so far we've had 3 others in East Tennessee, so it is
Good.
out of 23 counties, so it is something to be proud of.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman DeBoard. Appreciate that. This time, the chair will recognize Chairman DeBoard again, Chairman of the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the Budget Committee to order. Do we have any visitors wishing to address the committee? Seeing none. In old business, we have none. In new business, we have the fiscal year 2022 and 2023 preliminary budget plan of action. You've had the opportunity to review those in your packet, and the calendar is laid out on page 3. Do we have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
We got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions? Ms. Bryant, do you have anything to add to that?
No, again, we always emphasize that the timing on our schedule is very similar to last year. And that we always do say, occasionally, though sometimes we have to make changes in this, but this is where we start. And we'll be getting out our letters to all the department heads this week. And then meeting with them in primarily March, compiling the budget in April, and beginning our budget meetings.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman DeBoard. At this time, the chair would recognize Chairman Chris Cutshaw of the Real Estate Committee.
I'd like to call the Real Estate Committee to order. Are there any visitors that would like to address this committee? Seeing none, we'll move to new business. We have a request in our county to sell Romar Street property. Trustee?
Thank you, sir. This is the parcel of land, I don't know if you gentlemen remember, but it was Romar Street, landlocked piece of property. We had no bids on, and the county bought that back in January of last year. We have a written offer to buy the property by Samuel King and Catherine King. They're the owners of the property right in front of it. If you went out to this land, you would see what I'm talking about. It's out off of Carriger Street. You know where Stockyard is? Go straight up the hill, and then Romar's off to the left, and there's some streets there that they're proposed, but they don't exist. So this is actually a landlocked tract of land behind their property. They've offered us $1,967.77. What that equates to is it's the low bid. If we were rebidding it, it is the county, when we paid the property off, we paid $1,752.86 that to the court, and then also paid the city and the county taxes for the 19 and 20 taxes. We were returned $175 from the clerk and master because they waived the online fee for that same sale. So it actually netted down to $1,577.86. I've included the 21 taxes for the city and the 21 taxes for the county, and also 12 months of interest on the county's money, which is $284.01, and that brings that total to $1,967.77. Now, if you go forward and you accept, we have to, in your booklets there, I guess everybody sees you got an ad. We have to run an ad in the paper, and I will propose to run that probably on a Sunday, and then we have to wait 10 business days to see if we get a counter offer from another citizen in Hamlin County. If we do, then likewise we will, we may get more than one offer. If we do, then, we have more than one, 2, 3, and then we'll have a private auction here in the courthouse at a designated time, between those three parties, and sell the property for the delinquent taxes. So basically it's taxes, interest, court fees, etc. We would run that, and like I said, I would run that ad, and it would remain open for 10 business days, which is 5 Monday through Friday, 5 Monday through Friday for everybody. And then we would, if no offers are made, then we could proceed, and our attorney can draw up a deed and process the tax land to the new owner.
Trustee, could you explain, please, if someone did want to, it would take a 10% more bid?
Yes, it takes a 10% increase above this price if they want to offer it, and then we go back to the original offer. If they wanted to counter it, then that's when we create a small auction.
I got you.
Between those people privately.
But it is agreed upon at this number, 1977, or 1967-77, and it's, okay. All right, do we have a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, trustee.
We'll wait till the full commission votes on it at the end of the month before we do anything else.
Hey, Scott, if the Kings, they're the high bidder right now. They've offered something, so it goes back on. If they get other bids, can the Kings jump back in and bid again?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
What we do is just get together and have a private auction, actually, bring the parties together. Maybe we get more than one, if there's more than one bidder or not. Thank you.
Chairman, that's all we have.
Thank you, Chairman Cutshaw. At this time, the chair will recognize Chairman DeBoard of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the Finance Committee to order. Do we have any visitors that would like to address the committee?
My name is Evelyn Denoe, Joe Stevens Road. I'd like to address item 4D, the real estate consulting contract with LaBelle Realty. This is a professional services, although your rules actually refer to engineering and architectural services. This is a professional service similar to that. And when you did HEA commissioning, or when you were talking about commissioning services for the jail, you put that out for an RFQ. And this should be put out as well. There are many, many realtors or real estate agents in Hamlin County, and they should all have the opportunity to present proposals. So I hope, I don't expect, but I hope you will put this out and let all real estate agents and realtors in Hamlin County and anywhere else that might choose to submit a proposal to provide your consulting services. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to address the committee? If not, in your packets, you have the expenditure reports for the month of January. You have time to review those. Do we have a motion to accept the monthly checks as presented?
So moved.
Got a motion and a second? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. In old business, we have none. In new business, item 4A, Justice Center Project. Mr. Pettit has already spoken on that. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4B, garbage and sanitation discussion of garbage truck. Barry Poole.
I think we have a simple decision, but I'll leave that up to you guys. I'll tell you the situation. We've got, our cab and chassis is gonna be ready about, October. The Packmore dump bodies for those cab and chassis, they're already sitting there waiting to be put on a truck. They have been since December. They're telling us that if we go on into March and April, they're gonna begin to charge us a storage fee of around $600 and something. If we go ahead and pay for those dump bodies, it's not an issue. Then they're fine. They can let them sit there and wait till October or November, whenever that cab and chassis can be delivered to them, and then they can put those dump bodies on those cab and chassis. So I would recommend, I know it's an unusual procedure because you normally pay for the total unit, cab and chassis and the dump body, but I'd recommend we go ahead and pay for those dump bodies, and so we don't get $600 something for 6, 7, 8 months now. So would that be the pleasure of this commission?
Barry, didn't we already discuss that? I thought we did.
I think we've already approved it.
I thought we had
but
approved
yeah,
pay for it.
Approve the purchase.
Yeah.
for the total purchase, correct?
But to go ahead and pay for it, we approved to go ahead and pay for them.
Okay, well, I didn't want to, it's an unusual circumstance.
Right.
And talk with Ann about it and Bill, and we felt like we needed to make you aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And do we have anything in writing that if something doesn't work out with the match of those two items, that they take that and give us 100% back of what we
We
spent?
don't have anything in writing, but I can tell you that those trucks, the cab chassis, already have vehicle identification numbers, so they're lined up to be made. Let's just say the worst case scenario, and we've got those dump bodies and paid for them, and they're waiting for something to be done with them. We had cab and chassis where we took used dump bodies off several years ago and put used dump bodies on new cab and chassis. We're going to have major money involved in repairing those dump bodies pretty soon. So if we were sitting here with 2 new dump bodies that we need to do something with, that's another easy solution.
You can put those on other trucks.
Yes.
Okay.
You need a motion on that?
So we have a motion?
So moved.
We got a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4C, budget amendments. This is under Ms. Hurst. And then the first one is actually going to be C1, Hamlin County Board of Education, Ms. Antrigan.
Good evening. The first amendment I have on the agenda tonight is for the general fund, and this amendment includes a $1,500 grant to Miller Boyd Alternative School to help them purchase calculators and materials and supplies for their classrooms, a $40,000 grant from U-Trust to be specifically allocated towards student recognition activities to include middle school scholars, and also the allocation we receive every year from the state of Tennessee for high-cost special education reimbursement. And this money has to be spent within the special education program, and they have allocated that toward contracted services for occupational therapy, speech therapy, and psychological services, materials and supplies, and to supplement their in-county travel budget. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on that amendment.
Those educational activities, what does that include? What's that?
Right now, the middle school scholars banquet would be the first activity, and as of yet, the others kind of been laid out the specifics for those.
Do we have a motion to
So moved.
approve? We got a motion, we got a second. Mr. Cutshaw? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.2. And this is Hamlin County Board of Education Budget Amendment 2 on 2021 to 2022. Hamlin County Nutrition Budget Increase of $163,047.88. Ms. Antrigan?
Yes, sir. The School Nutrition Department has received an allocation of COVID relief funding this year, and $157,000 of that will be applied to increasing food costs, which I think we've all experienced. And $5,900 of that, the school nutrition staff has assisted the Department of Human Services by providing student demographic data to issue the pandemic-related EBT cards for economically disadvantaged students that were on virtual school last year. So they're providing some reimbursement to the district for additional hours that was required from school nutrition staff.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4.3, Fund 101 for Civil Defense with EMA, $113.16.
This is a payment that was made from the EMA budget, but actually is going to be for the volunteer fire department project for the next fire truck. So this is just reimbursing the EMA budget for this particular notice that was published.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.4, Fund 101, other public safety and homeland security grants for $1,169.10. Ms. Hurst?
This is what was remaining from the 2019 grant, and now there's, they have plans, I believe, related to volunteer fire departments to use these funds, and this is putting it back in the budget.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Jim Stebbins.
Jim Step. If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.5, Fund 101 for Chancery Court of $815. Ms. Hurst?
This is for office supplies and to purchase hard drives and backup hardware. And these funds are coming from the Reserve for Automation funds, for Chancery Court.
Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Get a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second, Ms. Arnwine? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.6, Fund 101 for Juvenile Court, $20,000. Ms. Hurst?
This is putting funds from the attendance line, which hasn't been, we haven't used a lot of the expense from this particular line item this year. But we're moving it into where we pay for the Roy Bean juvenile detention. And we've had some significant detention expenses this first 6 months of the year. And budget like $15,000. We received a bill for almost $19,000. One particular juvenile was in there for 119 days. So we've had some significant expenses in this line item for this year. This puts us back kind of where we need to be with around $12,000 left to get us through the rest of the year, hopefully.
What's the increase what types of things lead to that increase in cost?
Normally, we'll just have, and if I'm understanding your question correctly, we kind of base our budget on what we normally see in a year for detention for the juveniles. But occasionally, something will happen like this in a juvenile that needed to stay in for like 119 days. That's very expensive. Most folks, I'd say we had this juvenile 119 days, we had one for 21 days. Most folks stay in, young people, for just a couple of days at a time. But when we're having to pick up 119 days, that's very expensive.
But it was a one individual, not several, so it doesn't appear to be a trend, it's just a...
No, as far as we know, mainly this 119 day
I think that's better.
is the one that was, so significant.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Step. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
will be abstaining from this one.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.7, Fund 101, Sheriff's Department for $3,400.
Let me just read this. This is to rebudget the sales proceeds from the Sheriff's Department for the camper that was sold near the end of last fiscal year. Now, the Sheriff's Department knew that it was being sold. They had a project for these funds, but they didn't get to spend the funds before the end of the fiscal year. So this just rebudgets the funds, the $3,400, and they are outfitting an enclosed trailer with this particular, the funds from this camper proceeds.
What are they using that for? The trailer for?
Now, my understanding is that it can kind of be a kind of command booth, kind of command center.
That's what they're gonna use it for. They're gonna order lights. We've got a new enclosed trailer. The camper we got out of the 1033 program from the government, so it didn't cost anything. We got permission from the government to sell it, and we did it at the end of last year, and we were gonna use these funds to put lights and equipment needed on this enclosed trailer to use as a command post when we go to like investigation scenes, or they even take it out graduations because of the expo center. They use it, or they're planning on using
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.8, Fund 116 for garbage and sanitation, $33,000.
This is to purchase 350 additional garbage carts and parts for carts. Again, the pandemic has caused a lot of extra usage of carts, and also we're kind of going through a cycle where several are needing to be replaced. And this handles both of that, the need for additional carts because of so many people being at home with extra garbage, and then to replace the carts that need to be replaced.
Make motion, we approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, how much is the, you give you a price on per can on that?
$75.
75?
After delivery per car.
Okay.
There's a particular type that we found works better than most, that lasts longer, is more durable. And, we got a bid for that brand.
Thinking ahead here, that'll work on the one arm in the future if we do go that route.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, we've got it.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's all right. Any discussion, further discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Opposition? Motion carries. Item 4.9, Fund 122 for Drug Control Fund for $41,375.
These are insurance proceeds that were received for a truck that was, I'm gonna say probably totaled during a pursuit. And this puts the insurance proceeds back into that line item to potentially purchase another vehicle.
But not anything right now.
We haven't heard that there's any immediate plans, but we figured that it would be happening fairly soon.
Planning to purchase another vehicle as soon as this is approved.
That was a truck?
Yes.
You use a truck for pursuit?
They're not getting another one, let's take that. It was good for holding the equipment that they needed.
Right.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion? We got a second?
I'll second it.
He said it first. Tim said first.
Oh.
That's right.
You don't matter.
Any discussion?
I didn't hear you.
If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 4D, for renewal of a real estate consulting agreement with LaBelle Commercial Realty, and Mayor Bredden.
I want to start first with a description of an opportunity that the county has from the state of Tennessee. With us tonight is Sue Judlin, our regional health department director, who runs the whole East Tennessee region, and then our new county director, Ashley Lyons. They're here, if you guys will stand, please. And they're here to represent the local and state health department. They called me a couple of weeks ago and said that the state of Tennessee has selected Hamlin County as a county that they're willing to invest money in to build a new health department building. And so the way I understand it and what these ladies have explained to me, the amount of money that the state has allocated, now this is using ARP money, all right, the American Rescue Plan money at the state level, is a total project up to $4.5 million. The state would pay 75% of it, or $3.4 million, and the county match would be about $1.1 million. So this is the opportunity that is before us. And what I want to do is ask the ladies just to talk to you a little bit about why Hamlin County was selected for a new health department. This building, I think, was built in '96, I think, or in that neighborhood. And the upstairs has been used for various, I think Ethra was in there when it started, and now the environmental office and the dental practice is upstairs, and downstairs has always been clinical. So I'll let them explain why we were selected, and then I'll talk about the services agreement.
Hi, I'm Sue Judlin. I'm the Regional Director for Tennessee Department of Health. And Hamlin County was chosen several months ago. I got asked which counties I could foresee needing new buildings. And Hamlin County was chosen just because of the amount of encounters we have every year passing through our office, and the fact that it is just not efficient use of space. We have outgrown the space. And being that it is a two-story, it really limits how we can put patients through, and it really does not, it's not efficient for our staff or for patients. So that is why I put Hamlin on the list, and I was very excited to find out that Hamlin was chosen, only one of 2 counties in our region that were chosen to get new funding for a new building. So I would like to turn it over to Ashley Lyons. She is the new county director here in Hamlin County. And she and I have discussed kind of what our ideas of what a new building would look like. And I think it would be best from her perspective to fill you in on that.
Hello. So we just went over some talking points. Mayor Britton wants us to come back to the next meeting. I think we'll be more detailed at that point, but just to kind of address it because they're wanting to move forward with this somewhat quickly. So our current size is 14,000 square feet, and that's over 2 levels. We also don't have an elevator, so you either have to enter from the top or the bottom. We only have 2 clinic rooms available upstairs for use. The rest is office or storage or a conference room. The workflow downstairs, the nurses are very separated from the patients. There's only 2 exits from the downstairs, so if I'm in the back of the building, in order for safety or anything else for me to get out, I'm really almost trapped in there. But so that's also a concern. Just changes in workflow in general with, healthcare as it's evolved. It just no longer fits the requirements. We've evolved with different types of programs and things that we no longer have space to utilize. We're very much shared space for the different programs. The number of patients we're serving has grown as well. So another thing that really happened with COVID is we saw the need for outside delivery systems, either testing or vaccinating, and in large quantities. I wasn't at this location when we were doing the bulk of the COVID. I was actually at another health department, but very much saw how that logistically flowed. And from being on site where we had a recent surge with testing, you're really very limited as to how you can move patients through. I know they were off-site the majority of the time, or having to close other adjoining areas to our space in order to utilize. So that would be kind of part of what we're looking to improve as well, is to have that type of flow. And just overall, like I said, the ability to expand our services and treat more of a general public, having a little privacy in the waiting area, the lobby. Right now it's pretty tight. Once we get busy, there's limited space for anyone to be in. And when I walk in, there's a lot of things people don't want to address that's common knowledge to anyone waiting, that, you can hear that. So just some updated workspaces. Sue has more the financial aspect of things, but we just wanted to be able to come and present it and say we're very excited that we got the opportunity to even present this. I think we're only 1 out of 17 counties that's being offered a true new health department. So, any questions?
The reason that I brought you the real estate service agreement at this meeting was because the state wants a commitment in April for whether we will participate in this and supply the match, and whether we want a new health department building or not. And so that doesn't give us time to go through the RFQ process. And so we were pleased or I was pleased with what LaBelle Commercial Realty did with our previous work. And so that's why I'm bringing this to you now, because we don't have time to go through the RFQ process and get back to the state with whether, well, to bring to you next month a concept for you to make a decision whether you want to participate or not, and how much a match might be, or what would be the maximum match. We would have all that information next month for you. But for now, what we need some help with finding a location, whether it be green space, or we've kind of already knocked around some ideas about using some existing buildings in town, and nothing really suited the needs. That a lot of them were multi-level buildings, which don't suit their need. That's what they're experiencing now. So we need some professional real estate services help, and I'm proposing that we engage LaBelle Commercial Realty for that service.
So are you saying that the space needs to be a one level? Is that what you just said?
That's their preference.
Okay. And the total size, roughly?
14,000.
14.
Yeah. I think what these ladies are telling me is 14,000 square feet is what they have now.
That's what.
If it was on one level and designed a different way and more efficient, it's 14,000 square feet is enough space. But it has to be designed for their functions.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I got a question. This is just something rattling around. This is the Hamlin County Health Department, but of course it serves, we have a lot of city residents that use it. I didn't know what the breakdown was, or we even keep those demographics.
There's one health department that serves the whole county.
Right.
Yeah. So as far as breakdown for.
Just, city versus county.
Geographically break it down?
Yeah.
As far as like where you want it placed?
Right.
A future structure? We could probably get that information, so.
I just think that'd be helpful because convenience, I'm sure, is.
So that was some of the things that we looked at too, is, I know, everything seems to be growing more west, but
Right.
what our focus is in the population, that's not really gonna be where we're looking at. We deal with a high revenue of WIC, those types of patients, a lot of children seeking immunizations for school requirements.
Mhm.
We deal with, we have an STD clinic serving that population, a family planning practice. So that's, but yeah, we're trying to get some ideas as well logistically.
But geographically, you're wanting to stay within the city limits?
That's what we have kind of looked at.
I think when we look at our clients, the demographic makeup of our clients, staying very close to downtown here with a bus line close by would be essential.
Is the city going to be involved in this at all?
No, this is our responsibility.
It's our responsibility. And we got to stay in the city limits.
Well, to meet the clientele and for the sewer service. As with the water usage and the wastewater, you need sewer. You have to be in the city.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman DeBoard. At this time, the chair would recognize Chairman Cutshaw of the Personnel Committee.
I'd like to call the Personnel Committee to order. Is there any visitors that would like to address this committee? Seeing none, we have no old business. We'll move to new business. A, approval of education pay submissions. Alex McLean, and education for amount of $350. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion.
And a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All approved? Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And item 4B, approval of longevity pay submissions for Ms. Bowman, her third year of service. And Kathy Myers, also her third year of service. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Anyone need to discuss? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Cutshaw. At this time, the chair will recognize Chairman James Stepp of the Calendar and Rules Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. Call to order the Calendar and Rules Committee. Any visitors wishing to address the committee, you have 5 minutes to do so. I see none. Moving on to old business, there is none. Under new business, item 4A, review of regular calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Warner. Any discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B, review of consent calendar items. Have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Stepp. Before you leave tonight, I've got 2 special requests. I want to remind you, first of all, to leave this notebook in Tricia's basket over here so that she can update it for our regular commission meeting. Then also, I'd like for you to return your budget notebooks from last year, especially with the tabs. You can keep the contents within that notebook, but we need the notebook with the tabs. So if you'll drop that by Tricia's office as soon as you can, it will really help them to be able to start putting the budget documents together. I think that's all we have tonight. We'll stand adjourned.